First at 4:30, a new kind of danger for families as digital characters become increasingly popular companions for teens.
AI chats have led to suicides and other violence around the country. And as Lynn Colano reports, state leaders are now discussing options to keep kids from accessing the technology.
The computer-generated discussions ranged from romantic to sexual to violent. But what can lawmakers actually do about it?
The conversations may be fake, but the dangers are real.
Okay, reconvening this.
Hawaii lawmakers are searching for ways to protect people from AI programs that allow teens to interact with virtual characters. It was the topic of a briefing for the state Senate's Consumer Protection Committee.
Open market chatbots present unprecedented risks where unregulated AI can act as a digital predator.
The Department of Education says they are working to help staff, students, and parents navigate this new space. State Senator Jared Keohokalole shared transcripts of a conversation between a Hawaii girl and a chatbot. The 12-year-old was role-playing as an anime superhero. In just minutes, the digital character started using inappropriate words and phrases.
These apps are meant for adults and they have mature content, but if your children are bypassing the notices and going and engaging, that they could potentially be interacting with AI chatbots who aggressively pursue or even groom the users.
Predatory algorithms and grooming on platforms like Character AI, and instances where bots from apps like Grok have engaged in suicide coaching by bypassing basic safety guardrails.
Lawsuits across the country have been filed against AI companies after teens committed suicide following chat conversations, and some in Congress are looking at strict federal legislation. Hawaii lawmakers plan to introduce bills this upcoming session to better restrict and monitor use by those under 18.
It's about making sure that companies that come into Hawaii and provide these types of services understand that we're going to expect they treat minors appropriately.
Legislation will be introduced after the session starts next Wednesday. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.